Okay. All right. Now if you understand that it has to, if you bear that in mind, it's a whole entire process, then the next part of it is the first part of the process is to do definition. It is important that you have a good definition of what a project quality is. Okay, and there is many definition. Some people think that it must fit the client's requirement. Some people think that it must be fit for its intended purpose and usage. Okay, so and there are some contexts here that will say that it is always relative to the final features and product. It is based on the product definition. It is based on the user definition, and a lot of them is actually also based on the value definition. So there is a fair bit of ongoing argument on it. So and then minimum, I think it should be fit for its intended purpose. As engineers, I believe in that. When you build a house, you're supposed to be able to stay in it. Like there's no like leaking roofs, or a window that sort of like cannot be closed, or a door that cannot be closed, or the pipeline that you turn on the water, there's no water, that you can't have that. That is the minimum. Okay, so a lot of this new concept, of course, is about customers' requirement, and of course, and when it comes to customer requirement, this is something that we have to be very careful, because your customer may think one thing and you may think one thing, you see. So if your goal is to be fit for its intended purpose, but your customers is actually saying that I want it to be a palace, then it's very different concept. So here, this is my definition. Really, I've got this 8 level here that I think everybody should actually explore. So whenever you design a project and whenever you embark onto a job, yes, one end is fits for its intended purpose. There's no defects. There should be no complaints. On the other end is supposed to be the actual definition of what the client actually requires, and then you actually sit down over a few meetings to meet the minds of the client, see what he wants, see what type of person he is, see what type of company culture that they are running, and see what your company culture is running, whether it fits that culture. There are some company culture, they go for quantity, they don't go for quality. And if your company culture is like those very refined, those very clean, those very nice, that sort of like high reliability, looks good to the eyes, all these things, then you may not be really going to work well with this client unless you lower your standard. But there are some clients who are so high in their standards that they are really expecting, like, painting the sky kind of thing. So those are unreasonable expectation. If you cannot do it, I don't think that you should be embarking onto the project with that particular client. Otherwise, you're going to face a lot of these issues here that is going to be popping out again and again. It's going to be a very, very tough time that you're going to have with the client, you see. So that can be quite difficult in that sense, you see. So I think we really should, the processor should be like sitting down, not only talking about time and cost. You really should be designing things. You understand what your client wants, where they're coming from, what their company culture is like, what is the mission, what is the vision, what is the purpose of the project. Maybe that particular client is so rich that he wants to leave a legacy. Like Mahathir at one stage, he said he wants to, our prime minister, our ex-prime minister, he wants to leave a legacy, to show the whole world that Malaysia boleh. So he actually, at no cost, I just want to build the twin tower, the two tallest twin tower in the world. So, you have to know what is the concept, what is the movement, what is the purpose driven here, what is the purpose of the project, what it aims to do, and what your clients are like and where they come from, and like I said, the culture of these people, whether not only their racist culture, but also their mentality culture, their family culture, the company culture. It all forms a background, you see, to what they will be expecting, you see. So there's no harm to do a check on your client. There's no harm to look into their profile. There's no harm to ask around. There's no harm to meet them a few times. There's no harm to actually look at who is the person in charge. There's no harm to actually, in fact, it's not only no harm, it's actually very good if you can do that, to have a proper background check and to see they are what they're all about, you see. And then from there you can propose, you define, level 1, basic intended use, I'm going to design you this is going to look like this. Number 2 is going to fulfill certain specifications that we're going to write, and the standards of the government standards and all that authority bodies standards like BEM, like IEM, like PAM, like JKR, like MWA, like KWB, or like council standards, so all these standards, that is around. So those are level 2, and then when you build something that they can use for a long time, that is level 3, good performance. Usually 3, 4, 5, they are always together. People who are going for these sort of things, they will go for it together. So they want something that they're not going to repair, they're not going to do anything for the next 20 years, then it's fine, high reliability means that it doesn't break down very often, so it's performing very well, it doesn't break down very often. Number 6 is a little bit more upper standard, means that in a lot of other environment, this product can also be used, you see, so it can change identity, like more adaptable and all that. Aesthetics is like, wow, it must look good to the eyes, number 8, it would be like, wow, you feel good, so 6, 7, 8, you have to be very careful. 6, 7, 8 is where a lot of people are using 6, 7, 8, but they are looking at 1 and 2. So when they look at 1 and 2 and they say, I don't feel good about this, it doesn't look good. So you see, you are using a 6, 7, 8 standard to look at something that was defined as 1, 2. So how are you not going to have dispute? How are you going to be not having problems with quality on site? How are you going to not say, I want to reject that particular product? Of course you're going to say that, because it's different. It's just like, I give you an example. If I ask all of you, now, who is the most beautiful girl in the class? And I'm going to ask all the ladies, who do you think is the most handsome boy in the class, okay? I'm sure, okay, everybody is going to use 7 and 8, aesthetic and feel good, you see. I mean, they look at somebody, they may say that, oh, this person is not very handsome, but they're just so charismatic, they're so good looking because of that. Their eyes are so, set back, or something, and then therefore they are looking good. You see, so you may get 10 different answers, you see. And then, if you look at some guys looking at some girls, maybe all of you are going for the aesthetic value, all men are the beast to the eyes, so you just look at, how beautiful she is. So you don't really go and look at feel good, you see. So again, you may get 10 different answers or 20 different answers, you see. So if all the girls in the class is actually just level 1 and 2, so how are you going to be able to tell that, which one is nice looking? So if you're going to use 7 and 8 to look at 1 and 2, so everybody's going to tell me, doctor, there's no good looking guy at all in this class. Or then there's another one that says that all the girls in this class are just, oh boy, terrible, So you're not going to get the answers you want. On the other hand, because of the subjectivity, if you're using level 7 and 8, and there are level 7 and 8 of people in this class, like I say, you're going to get a lot of different answers, because we cannot do that, because that one is based on aesthetic, based on perceived value. So when you do that, you have to be very careful. 1 to 5 to 6 even, we can use numbers, but 7 and 8 is very difficult. You won't do, it's just like you bring a kid to a house and you tell, like, come and tell mommy, do you like this house? If the kid start crying and say that, I see hantu, then definitely you don't want to be in that house, so you're not going to buy the house, you see. So that is perceived value. So we can go up to that sort of level, but you must quantify it. You must make it with quantity, with numbers, then we can do that. Otherwise, don't touch. Okay, don't touch, don't use the client, don't take the client up to that kind of level. Aesthetic, maybe some client will just look at it and they have a specific colors, they have a specific shape they like. Okay, then you can input that into your design. But other than that, don't. Anything that can be measured with measurement, with numbers, yes, you can. But if not, then don't. I mean, you're not going to go in at level 8 and say that I'm going to measure your heartbeat. If your heart beats faster, means that you are going to be faster. So or I if you're going to say that yeah, so this is all different. Okay.